Hello everyone, back tuning in to today's second video of Read on the Week Ahead forecast, which you can find on the homepage. It's going to be a very unsettled week coming up. This video is for January month ahead forecast, so we're going to have a review of what's happened in December. Hint, it was a record-breaking mild month. We'll also do the full forecast for January, and then at the end we'll have a sneak peek at February as well. So before I get on with that, just say about the ads. This article was on all pages at Gazovitz. Have a browse for widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, thanks so much for doing that. There's also video ads on most of the pages. So when you open up the content, when you watch them, they'll close back up again. It's all helping to pay for our website. So thanks so much for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. Just say all the month ahead forecasts will be kept on their own specific page at gazovitz.com. So the page is going to be month-ahead-2016.php. So you can come back and review any of the month ahead forecasts, and that's where all the forecasts throughout the year will be kept in terms of the month ahead ones anyway. So let's start off with what happened in December. Now, I haven't got the full stats in for December yet, so I'm still waiting for the UK-wide temperatures to come in, anomaly maps to come in at Hadley. I think it will be on Monday, but we have got the Central England temperature. I spoke about this in a video yesterday, and we know we've had a record-breakingly mild temperature in the Central England region. Came out at 9.7 for December 2015, which smashes the record of 1934 and 1974 by over a degree and a half. Now, the December month ahead forecast at Gazovitz was for a very mild December. We said temperature anomalies will probably come out around 1 to 2 degrees above average in a really Atlantic-driven month. What's actually happened is that we've underestimated the temperatures, because instead of coming out 1 to 2 degrees above average, we've come out around, certainly Central England, come out around 5 degrees above average. So it's been extraordinarily warm month, and as I say, we've probably underestimated the extent of that warmth. I'm not going to beat myself up too much about that though, because from what I do, I'm not able really to pick out very extreme or record break months, and this December just gone is right at the far end of extreme weather in terms of warm weather for the UK. In fact, it's probably more extreme than anybody could ever have believed it could possibly get. To smash the existing record, but set in 1934, by over 1.5 degrees is just absolutely extraordinary what has happened in December 2015. And from what I do, as I say, I'm not able to pick out these very extreme and record-breaking months. Now, other forecasters will claim and say that they can pick out these record-breaking and extreme months, and good luck to them if they can do it. But personally, from what I do, I'm just able to give you the general direction of traffic, whether it's going to be warmer or drier than average, whether it's going to be low pressure, high pressure dominated, drier, wetter, and that kind of thing, warmer, colder, and so on. But from my methodology, I'm usually not able to pick out very extreme and record-breaking months. So I think I predicted an Atlantic-driven pattern for December, significantly milder than average, bit wetter than average as well. The whole direction of traffic came out quite good. I'm quite pleased with the overall performance, just that the month was more extreme than I was predicting or expecting. So in some ways, it's not been a bad forecast in terms of a general pattern. Other ways, not as good as some, I'm sure, would like it to be. But anyway, we always review our forecasts here at Gazovitz, so there can never be any cherry picking the outcome. And I hope you find the transparency, at least, to be interesting. So that's what happened in December. Let's go on and have a look at the situation for January. So we're going to start off, if I can get the right charts up. There we go. We're going to start off with the 700 millibar high anomalies from the CFS V2, and then we'll have a look at potential precipitation from CFS. Go on to the Beijing Climate Centre as well. So for the 700 millibar height anomaly for January, what we see is there's a deep trough of low pressure. As you know, with height anomalies, blue normally extrapolates to low pressure, with red extrapolating to high pressure. So there's a deep trough in the Atlantic for January, and an anomalous ridge down to the southwest It's the same old, same old. It's exactly the same as we've had in December, really, with the jet stream going rather like that. It's Atlantic driven, it's bringing up the air, probably very mild air from the tropical part of the Atlantic, so it's going to be a wetter average month. It's going to be significantly milder than average. Will it be record breaking mild? Will it just be very significantly milder than average? I can't tell you from this, but a very Atlantic-driven, mild, wet January being predicted by the CFS-V2, and the CFS model has been going for this very consistently for many months. If you've been watching the CFS 6 months look-aheads videos, you will know that this has been the pattern. Excuse me, this has been the pattern that the CFS model has been seeing really since the summer for this winter. So it's been, so far anyway, a tremendously good performance, you have to say, from the CFS V2, albeit not necessarily what we would all have hoped to happen. So this is a rather horrendous looking temperature anomaly forecast for January from the CFS V2, going for a very significantly milder than average month, not just for the UK, but for the whole of Europe as well. Temperature anomaly is anything from around 1 to 2 degrees above average for England and Wales. Scotland coming out from around half a degree to 1 degree above average. Most of Europe coming out to 3 degrees above average. And remember, the jet stream with this will be going a bit like that, dragging up the air from the Azores and the tropical Atlantic. So a very mild month to go along with December and November in January from the CFS V2. Also very significantly wetter than average as well. So the rainfall, precipitation anomaly is coming out really wet for UK and Ireland, as is most of France also. It's just an onslaught really being predicted here by the CFS V2 for January. It's wet, it's mild, and it's just Atlantic driven all the way. Very clear and consistent signal from the model. This is how the Bayesian Climate Centre is seeing things. These are 500 millibar heights broken down into 10-day periods. So the first 10-day period is from the 1st to the 10th of January. Again, going for a very deep trough of low pressure. This a little bit more to the north of us and some ridging down to the southwest. But the upshot is still basically the same. It's a very Atlantic-driven pattern. Just could be a little bit cooler the way the trough and the ridge are lining up. Could be a little bit cooler than the CFS V2 is suggesting. But it's very unsettled and very Atlantic driven indeed. The next 10-day period, going from the 11th to the 20th, shows a bit of ridging coming up from the south. Now, one aspect with the December month-head forecast that I wasn't all that pleased about was that there was a suggestion from the Bayesian Climate Centre for a bit of ridging later on in the month that could have given us a colder sort of Christmas, colder end to the month. That didn't come off, so I had to be a little bit dubious about this. The Bayesian Climate Centre is still going with this idea that we get some ridging building up from the south and southwest, lifting the trough out more to the north and to the northeast of the country, so it sends the jet stream a bit like that. So it's quite a bit drier, could also be a little bit cooler as well through that middle phase of the month. But I'm a little bit dubious after what happened in December. And then the ridging really intensifies actually as we go through the final 10 days. So we finish up probably on quite a dryish sort of note there with high pressure building up from the south. That will be quite a mild position for the high pressure. Unless we get a low level inversion, which is where it turns colder on the surface and it's warm aloft in the upper atmosphere because heat radiates out very quickly into space in winter. If we don't get an inversion, that's going to be really quite mild, possibly even a little bit of a spring-like type chart. Low pressure again is all up to the north and west. So at least the Bayesian Climate Centre is seeing a drying trend here later on in the month, albeit not one that's particularly cold. There's no sign of northern blocking to deliver sustained cold conditions from the Arctic. There's no sign of that on either the CFS V2 or the Bayesian Climate Centre models, to be honest. So the temperature anomaly for the whole month from the Beijing Climate Centre comes out warmer than average, anything from around 1 to 2 degrees above average being predicted there. And the rainfall anomaly, despite that ridging later on in the month, we still come out wetter than average, with significantly wetter than average precipitation anomalies being forecast. So it's a very clear signal from both of these models to have an Atlantic-driven month, milder and wetter than average. That has to be the forecast again from GasWeatherViz.com for this first month of 2016. I think we will have another Atlantic-driven month. I think we'll come out with above average temperatures again in January, and I think we'll probably come out with above average rainfall as well. Now, there's going to be some complications to that, because I think it may turn drier later on in the month, particularly in the second half of the month, although we sort of went with that idea for December. It never really came to much, but I think as we go further and further on with this winter, we're going to struggle to sustain the rainfall at the kind of level we've been having it. So I do think we'll probably get a drying trend as we move out into the second half of the month. Nevertheless, rainfall anomalies for many of us will probably still come out a bit above average. But I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it may be a little bit of hope casting really, but I'm hoping we won't get the deluge that we had in January 2014. And despite a very wet start to the month, I'm hoping things will dry out a little bit in the second half. In terms of colder conditions, not much to go on really. All you can say is that it's been so warm, you will think at some point we've got to get some sort of colder snap, and I would suspect that again is most likely the further on into the month we go. So with those two caveats, that there may be a drying, cooling trend later, I've got to say I think we're looking at another milder than average month, probably not record breaking. We've had a record breaking December. It would be quite unusual, very unusual, to get another temperature record going, and the January temperature record goes back to 1916, so that really would be quite extraordinary if we broke that. So I'm not going to predict that. I think we'll probably not have a record breaking January, but nevertheless still significantly warmer than average by around a degree or more above average. In terms of rainfall, I think it will again be wetter than average, drier later, but that first week to 10 days could be really quite something in terms of the rainfall anomalies. So we'll see how it goes as ever. Before I go, I'll just have a quick sneak peek at February for you, and this is it, and it just goes on, doesn't it? This is the CFS V2 700 millibar height anomaly chart for February. It's the same as what we've had through December and is being forecast for January. The ridge is to the south, deep trough up to the north. The flow still off the Atlantic, still drawing up very mild air, courtesy of this ridging to the south. That shades of February 1998, to be honest, which was an exceptionally mild month as well. Excuse me. If these charts come off that the CFS V2 is indicating for January and February, with the very warm December that we've already had, I think we'll probably get the warmest winter on record. That is certainly doable, I think, with what the CFS V2 is indicating here. The old winter temperature record in terms of warmest winter on record goes back, I think, to 1868, 1869, so it's a very, very old and long-standing record. I think it could go this winter if the CFS V2 is getting this right. It's been a good start to the forecast for this winter from CFS V2, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's how it goes on all the way along. But it's just no sign of a change there, even into February. So it's alarming days if you're a cold and snow lover, but there we go, the CFS V2 indicating another very mild Atlantic-driven month for February. Right, coming back to January, in summary, it looks like it's going to be another milder than average month, probably wetter than average as well. Hopefully it won't be quite the deluge we had in January 2014. I think we may get some drier conditions later probably not breaking the record temperature for January. Famous last words, and I may be in a little bit of peril by saying that, but I'm hoping it will just be a generally milder than average month rather than anything too extreme. So milder and wetter than average Atlantic onslaught goes on. That's the GazWeatherVids.com January 2016 forecast. As ever, we'll reevaluate and see how we did in February. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.